Hi, I'm Michael with Deacon Woodworks. Today I'm going to build a stop block system for the miter saw station. Stick around, I'll show you how it's done. So for those of you who saw my SketchUp video, you will see here the plans that we created in that SketchUp. And here I'm just ripping out the core pieces in which we need to build this miter saw cabinet, and then cutting those to length on the chop saw. And here we're ripping some of the hardboard in order to use as the tops. Now that we have our vertical pieces in place, we had to make some modifications on the fly to take into account the cabinets below, which is a small back piece which we measured out here and took over to the bandsaw to cut out. And now we're measuring out and cutting out the tops for the different platforms of the different miter saw station components. Here we're putting the top on for the actual dust collection to measure where the top will need to be cut out in order for the saw to function appropriately. And now we're moving on to final glue up and assembly. This is the lower base cabinet which will house the rail system from Kreg. Just checking it here for square. Now we're creating the small dividers in the middle of the upper cabinet for the small cubby holes. And now we assemble the middle cubby cabinet to the middle of the top. Checking for square and driving home some last minute pin nails. Now we're creating the dust shroud, basic screwed in to the side panels. Here we're looking at how we utilize the level to make everything coplanar with the miter saw station, and we'll just tack down the base structure to the countertop with a couple toenails to ensure that it's in the right place and that we don't become out of square. And then put the top on place, ensuring that there's a 1/4 inch between the actual fence for the miter saw stop block station, so that the Kreg Trak can ride and beat that groove. And once we had that shell structure done, we could then install it on either side of the miter saw, put some hardboard on top to finish it out, call it a day. Towards the end of the video, I didn't show a whole lot of the construction of the actual miter saw. It's basically boxes on top of boxes, and that's about it. What you can see behind me and to my right is kind of the final project complete. We've got a couple things in which we need to add. The Kreg top rail will be coming in end of this week. We'll install that. Used some 2P10 super glue. Knocked it right on top, sticks, wonderful. The right to left tape will be up there, and we can calibrate that into the saw as we go. A couple things I just wanted to talk about. If you saw my SketchUp video, you know that we took a lot of some generic assumptions, like the width of the saw box being 30 inches. Well, it actually was a little more than that, but for the purposes of what we needed to do, we could either measure it out here and go in there, or kind of build on the fly. And I chose to go with the latter and build on the fly. There was a number of other things involved in this project that you kind of had to be in the shop next to the stuff and really tweaking things as you go across. A couple examples. One, the dust shroud itself. The angles that we calculated in SketchUp were just basic 45 degrees. Getting here in shop, I didn't like that. It was a very small angle and it didn't look right, and I could create additional dust protection on the front hand side by increasing the angle to, I think it's about 30 degrees I used on this. The second component to the dust shroud, which you never would have known in SketchUp, is the actual makeup of the saw and how it works on a pivot. So we have to get out here and we have to check where the saw motor itself clears, where the handle clears, and where the top of the saw itself clears. And as we went through, I noticed there were little places where we had to tweak here and there and cut things out. So that's what we did. We just made the adjustments on the fly, and that's where we went. But I think that's the key lesson and takeaway. You can spend as much time as you need in SketchUp or other CAD or drawing type softwares thinking about it. But a lot of times just getting out in the shop, working on the project, and finding those areas where you can have improvements, much like the angles on the side, or you need to make tweaks to your design, you can do that on the fly. Another issue that I didn't show in the actual video itself was getting the fences in alignment. Obviously in SketchUp, when you look at that, everything looks in line and is in plane. However, when you get out here to the shop, your walls may be a little wavy, so depths may be a little different. So if you cut to the cut plan, you may have a little gap here or there. So what we decided to do here in the shop was using a 6-foot level, drawing it across and pulling everything up to that level so it was in line. That meant two things. The right hand side is actually off the back of the wall, just a hair, about half an inch. We had to remount the saw to undo the bolts and then re-bolt them in a different location in order to get everything coplanar with the rail system itself. So there's a couple lessons that I learned from this that I'll take away the next time to think about things a little differently. You're going to have some real world experience and try things out and come up with new creative ways to figure that stuff out. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel as I'm trying to put out new videos on a more frequent and regular basis. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. That's going in the outtakes.